again, Stitchers. It's Cowgirl Kate, and I'm just continuing on with the beading of Midsummer Night's Fairy. That's by Mirabilia, designed by Nora Corbett, or Nora Adams, but same lady. And I'm hoping that my phone is doing a better job of picking up the details. I used the webcam in the last video for this, and it just looked super washed out. I wasn't very happy with the quality of it, so I'm going to try my phone and see what happens, if that's a lot better or if I'm just kind of wasting my time with this endeavor. But we'll see. Today is a lovely sunny morning. It did not rain last night, so we're kind of, hopefully it'll dry out a bit now, because we've had enough rain to last a while. It'd be nice to let things dry out and grow. We've got enough moisture in the ground now that it'd be nice to let the plants use it with some sun. Yesterday we got our hay cut, so that's a one step closer. Now we just get to let it dry for a couple days, rake it up, let it dry. It's all good. And hopefully, you know, with that all taken care of, it'll be a nice crop and the horses will like it this winter when there's no green grass to be had, at least in our area. So far it looks like there's a lot out there, which is good because they eat a lot. My husband says they're professionals about eating. And there's a reason you say eat like a horse. It's because they do. That's alright. I like them fluffy. Not sure if the phone is picking it up, but there's a lot of birds singing outside this morning. And every day for about the last month, if you heard the one that just sounded off, he starts in about 4 a.m. and doesn't let up all day. So I'm not sure what he's crowing about, but he's happy about it. But my husband just hates him. He's like, God, that bird. Because, yeah, it is a pretty thing, but, oh, man. When you're trying to sleep, and you hear him chirping away, and he's relentless. I swear he comes right up under the window and sings just because he knows it drives my husband crazy. But it's all good. There are worse things we could be listening to, I keep telling him. And I like it, but I think it's kind of funny. I got to thinking about this morning. I'm going to be kind of sad when these wings are done because, you know, they're kind of my two favorite things with all the sparkles and then the beads. When they're done, it's going to be kind of sad. I'm going to have to find some other super blinged out project to, you know, get my attention. I don't think that'll be a problem. There's plenty out there to be had. Dang it, if I'd have been thinking, I would have had a list of shout-outs and I could have talked about shout-outs during this. Next time I will be better prepared. All kinds of silliness going on here. Beads I'm adding now are just kind of random extras. I'm just kind of popping them in where I think a bead should go. Why not? They're only beads after all. More the better. Just taking these beads that I had on the Q-snap and putting them on my little table now because I've come to the end where the string is getting kind of short. I'm going to tie it off. So somebody was asking how I anchored my work, and I wasn't sure if they meant how I anchored the crystal, and if that's the case I can give a demonstration of that, but I wasn't sure if they meant that or if they meant how I finished the thread itself on the back of the project. So I'm going to flip her over and get the thread anchored on the back and start a new one. So I'm just going to check and make sure that the camera is actually showing. Okay. I'll see if I can hold it up too better. So here I got just a little tail left of the needle, and what I'm going to do is just run my needle underneath some of the threads, and it makes a loop when you do that, and then I catch that loop. I run the needle through that loop and pull it down tight, and I do that 2 or 3 times. And you can even go through it twice if you want. Just give a good tug. This is the invisible quilting thread. It's what I like to use, but you know, other people have their preferences, what they like using too. So, just gonna cut that off. Alright. Sorry if I bounced it. Okay, and now I'm hoping that my camera will show, but the needle itself, if you can see that, I have knotted the invisible thread to the eye of the needle. So I also need to cut that. this is what I'm using. I think the information is the same on both sides, but this one's probably easier side to read. Just going to unwind length. Thread it. And then I'm going to tie a couple of knots around the eye. And that way the needle is not going to slip off and get lost. And it also helps with the tension for this stuff because it's not going to slip anywhere. Although I find that it still does when I'm beading Middy because I'm only using a half stitch to attach the beads. So, got my tail, got my needle here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to run the needle, and this is the area where I stopped working. So I'm going to run, whoops. See, good thing I had that knotted. I didn't lose it then. I'm going to run the needle underneath some of the threads on the back. Okay. And now I got tail here and my needle off on this side. And I'm just going to make a couple of knots and just tie it. Knot it down good and tight, 2 or 3 knots. And it's not going to loosen. So, very simple, but it really helps with this stuff. And when I first started, I used regular floss that matched the bead, and I didn't like how that looked. Plus it was always kind of wobbly to me. So with this stuff I can pull it kind of tight and it's not going to, you know, show up or anything like that. I'm just checking to make sure that I got my camera back where it needs to be to actually see what's going on. So away we go again. Oh, I know what I was going to do. And I nearly forgot. I was caught up in the moment of beading. I'm going to show how I anchored her treasure. And I'm just going to undo this after I do the demonstration. So let me grab her extra crystal. I know it was laying around here somewhere. Oops, sorry if I bumped this. Okay. Here is her little treasure. And I'm just gonna go up there. I think the camera's picking it up better up on that side of the fabric. Let me just double check. Yep. Okay. Let me zoom in. Thank you for all your patience with all these technical issues that I'm kind of stuck with. Can't help it. Sorry. But here we go. How to attach the crystal using a Mill Hill bead to anchor it. So here you see the needle coming up through. So now these little crystals, they have 2 sides to them. The back has the Aurora Borealis, or the really iridescent finish on it. And the front has all the cuts, and it's the more diamond-like effect. So this is the side that I like to have facing out, but you know, it's whatever your preference is. But you would run the needle through the bottom and get it down there on the fabric. And next up, I would take, these are just the little gold petite beads, and I think they go across her shoulders. I'm not real sure. I haven't looked at that section of the pattern yet. You're going to also run that little bead onto your needle. So this is not anchored, it's loose. And I can grab it. And this little mill hill bead is loose. Okay, so it's just a string. What you're going to do next, I'm hoping I can explain this, is you're going to run your needle back down through that bead. No. Sorry, I had to stop and think. No, you're not going to run it down through this bead. I'm thinking of a different stitch. I'm sorry. What you're going to do is you're going to run it down through the crystal itself. So, right over the top of where you were. Back down through the fabric. And essentially, now you have a loop of your thread that has this bead on it. And when you pull it tight, it's going to hold that crystal down. Little beads up on top of there, see? And I think he blends in quite nicely. It gives a little added dimension, but it doesn't, you know, contrast or whatever. But if you wanted to contrast, you certainly could. But that is how I anchored down the little crystals that are up here on her wings. So I'm just going to take this out now. Very carefully because I don't want to lose the crystal. And there we go. So that is how you would anchor down the little crystals if you decided to. It's a very easy way to do it. It works really well.